It's Skully and welcome to Skully's Creations where we do plants. We don't do plants. We talk about plants. Hello beautiful planty people. Welcome to Skully's Creations where we talk about plants and occasionally do a creative project here and there. If that sounds like your thing, your jam, please subscribe. Make sure you hit the bells to be notified next time I put out a planty video. Okay, so we're back again with favorites, and this month is a super special month because it's my birthday month. Woo! So I'm really excited about that. I love April. Plus April's like when things start really warming up a little bit more, and I know it's been kind of weird, especially here in Texas. We don't really know if it's gonna be cold again, but I know some people, their rule of thumb is putting their plants outside after Easter. I'm just waiting until I know for sure, until we know for a fact it's not gonna get cold. Like, not gonna be anything other than, maybe like 65, 70. That's when I'll be putting out my plants. But anyways, I love April. April is my birthday month, as I said, and April's a good time, So I'm really excited to show you about the plants that we have this month because they have just done some really cool things and just making me real happy. So anyways, let's get into the plants. All right, so this first plant is going to be my Alocasia Black Velvet. First of all, let's take a moment to appreciate the size of this leaf. Like, what? So this leaf did just come out this month, and a few reasons why she's my favorite. Number one, it's for sure this leaf. Like, this is the reason. But number two, she's managed. Okay, I'm gonna show you the bad. This one is clearly on its way out, but it did hold on for a very long time. This started happening this past week, and what was happening with this plant when I brought her in for the winter is one leaf would come in, one leaf would go out, one leaf would come in, one leaf would come out. So this is the most leaves she's been able to hold on to, besides when she was outside, which she is gonna go. I don't know, actually. I don't know if I want to put her outside. She loved being outside. It's super hot in Texas and it's humid, and so she did so well outside. But I'm just a little bit worried to put her back out because of acclimating her back in. So that's that, and I don't really know what I'm gonna end up doing, if I'm gonna leave her inside or if I'm going to put her back outside. She really does love being outside though. But anyways, so 3 leaves was the longest she's held on to for a very long time. Again, yes, this one's on its way out, but this one, I don't see any sign that that leaf is going to go out when this new leaf ends up emerging. But again, she just hardened off this leaf, and I'm sure there is some new growth coming, but I can't see it right now. Also, look at the size of this leaf. Okay, it's pretty small, then it gets a little bit bigger, and then it's this one. Just, I can't express how happy this plant has made me just because of this like really gorgeous leaf. And not only, but if you want an affordable and a velvety leaf, try to get yourself this Alocasia. And if you are just getting into Alocasias, this is actually the one I would recommend because it really has been one of the Alocasias that has taught me a lot about this genus specifically. So let's talk about her watering. Her watering, I can't do it with a moisture meter anymore. It was way underwatering her. And I think that may have been one of the reasons she was, one leaf out while another one came in. So she was just like this one leaf for the longest time. And I think that had a lot to do with the watering. So how I tell when I need to water her now is I actually got a tip from a friend on TikTok, and what she says is she just actually uses her finger and just the top soil. So if the top soil is still a little damp like it is now, like, and you can feel it, like she's probably going to need a good watering maybe in a couple of days, but if that top inch soil is dry, then that's when I give her a good watering. But as you can tell, I put my finger in there right now and it's still giving me some wet dirt and the dirt sticking on my finger. So she doesn't need a watering right now. Now, I don't use that finger method. I know a lot of people do, but for me, most of my plants want to fully dry out. And I can't stick my finger all the way down to the soil to see if that plant is dry. So that's why I normally use a moisture meter or a chopstick. But for alocasias, because they do want to be kept moist but not wet, that's how I do it. And that probably changed the game for me. And second, I'm still using liquid dirt, and I stopped using liquid dirt and I tried a different fertilizer because I'm gonna eventually come out with a video testing a few fertilizers, which, by the way, if you have any liquid fertilizers that you want me to test, please leave me a comment down below and I'll add that to the list. I still haven't started the experiment, so there's still time to add a fertilizer that you may be curious about. Now, during the time that I did start using that other fertilizer, wasn't noticing a huge difference in my plants. And maybe I was just impatient and I really just got to do the test, but I switched back to liquid dirt and then this happened. So yeah, that's fertilizer. I fertilize every time with liquid dirt and I really do see a difference in my plants when I don't fertilize with liquid dirt every time. Now, when it comes to soil, I have her in a very chunky mix. So she is currently in organic potting mix, perlite, and orchid bark. For my aeroids, that's typically what I use, and yeah, they seem to like it. And I know I wanted to kind of switch over to coco coir instead of the organic potting mix, but I don't know. I think my plants like the organic potting mix more than just the coco coir. And that probably has to do with the nutrients in the organic potting mix, but I'll leave a link below on where I get that organic potting mix. It's just from Home Depot, but they really seem to like it. And it's a really big bag for really cheap. It's like $7 for that bag, and that bag will like last me forever. And all I have to do is make sure I amend it with perlite and orchid bark. Now, I am gonna do a little bit more experimenting on different mediums. The only other medium I've really experimented with is leca, and I really do like leca. I think your alocasia will really like leca as well if you wanted to go that route. Anyways, if you wanted to use hydroponics, I think this type of plant would really benefit from that. Oh, this is another thing. I changed where she was so she gets more light, and I have her under a grow light, and I think that also had a lot to do with this leaf because alocasias, they don't want to be like directly in the sun. Their leaves will burn. However, they still need bright light, and I didn't want to have her too close to my south facing window, but I ended up getting a grow light. And why haven't I got a grow light sooner? Because I have this window and I thought I didn't like necessarily need it, but I have noticed the plants that are further away from my window and now by the grow light are doing so much better. So get yourself a grow light. I got this one on like FabFitFun. It came in like one of the boxes, but I am going to try other grow lights. I know mother grow lights are supposedly really good. I haven't tried them. Maybe I will. But there's a few other ones on Amazon that I'm gonna see about. So anyways, that's the lighting. She's under a grow light now, woo, and she's really been loving it. So Alocasia Black Velvet. Okay, so the next plant that I'm going to talk to you about is going to be this Philodendron Campo. So Campo is short for Campo sportuatum. I know I butchered that, so don't come at me. Anyways, but Campo's for short. Now, if you did see my recent plant charts video, go and check it out if you haven't seen it. I'll link it down below. But in that video, I actually chopped up this plant because, first of all, it wasn't going straight, it was growing, it did this like little loop, which I don't mind. It gave the plant character, but what I did mind was the fact that these leaves were getting really small. Like this leaf, as you can see, is pretty small. Well, the leaves that were growing were smaller and smaller. So I decided, you know what? Let's go ahead and chop her. So I did, and I'm so glad that I did because look at this new leaf that she gave me. It's her biggest leaf, first of all, and it's just so beautiful. Like she has a little bit like of cosmetic damage there. I really don't know where that came from. And you know what? Actually, I think I do know where it may have come from. I had seen, I think, what was spider mites around that. I treated that area and I haven't seen them since, but I wasn't 100% sure that there were spider mites, and I only saw them like twice, but I haven't seen anything since. So I kept treating it with it's a neem oil, dish soap, water, and essential oil mix, and I actually got that mix from another YouTuber. Don't remember who, because I watch a lot of PlantTube, but if I remember, I'll link her down below. But that's the mix that I've stuck with, and really, I don't, knock on wood or my head or whatever is around, but I haven't had like any huge issues with pests. I did just recently get a plant though that I know has spider mites, and I got systemic for that. But other than that, oh, and fungus gnats. I do struggle with fungus gnats, and that's like a constant battle. If y'all have any recommendations that will totally like the fungus gnats, let me know. But I have kept the fungus gnats to a minimum. Anyways, that's besides the point. Oh, speaking of, damn it, fungus gnats. Oh, and I've gotten really, I don't know if this is like a flex. I don't think this is a flex. Nope, not a flex. But I've gotten really good at catching fungus gnats, so I can just like go like this and it dies. I don't know. Anyways, but let's get back to the plant. So basically what I was trying to say is the neem oil, I put like a lot of neem in there and I just let it soak overnight. I think I really should have just wiped it down because I did notice that after I did that neem oil treatment, okay, yeah, do you see that right there? I think that was from the neem oil, because what will end up happening is if you don't wipe down your neem oil, or if you leave neem oil on your plant while there's sun, they become very sensitive, and those like sprinkles of neem will actually burn your plant. So I think that's what's happened there, because I did notice that after I did the neem oil treatment, I had that on like a couple of plants. Sorry. But I was just like, just make sure, I was being, overboard as I normally do when it comes to stuff like that. But I was spraying everything, just even stuff that I knew like didn't really need it. But you can't go wrong with that spray, because seriously, that spray is really good. So anyways, wow, I talked a lot about that. Anyways, now getting to the care. First of all, I know this needs a moss pole. Like, look how she's growing. She's growing straight up. This hoe needs a moss pole. But, we'll get there when we get there. For now, she's just being propped up by this little stick. And that's not a permanent solution for her, but it's good for now. Anyways, when it comes to watering, you want to make sure that the plant is fully dry. Like, all the soil is completely dry. Remember, she's still an aeroid. She doesn't want to be left in wet soil or watered too often, just when her soil is fully dry. Now, that totally depends on where you have this plant. So if you have this plant closer to the window, or if it's more of a, oh, hey, Zorbear, or if it's more of a hotter climate, she is going to dry out quicker. So just keep that in mind. Just whenever she's fully dry, then give her a good watering. I don't really like to go by like days, because every environment is different, but if you go by what the soil is telling you in your environment, That's what's going to help you. And when I say give her a good watering, I truly mean make sure that soil is saturated. You want all of the soil to be saturated so that way it can be properly watered and then go that full time and truly fully dry out. Not just a portion of your plant being dried out, but completely everything's dry, and then repeat. Now, speaking of soil and it being fully dry, soil mix. Soil mix that I currently have her is my usual. It's organic potting mix, orchid bark, and perlite. She absolutely loves it. She's done really well in it, given that she is an aeroid and wants aeration in her soil. As far as lighting goes, now I've had her in 2 different spots. I've had her in a brighter lit location, and now I currently have her in like medium light location. And when I mean medium light, about 2 feet away from a south facing window is where she currently is, and she's actually done great there. I couldn't really tell the difference between the two, but regardless, I would still say a bright lit location, not low light for this plant. What's next? Humidity. That's hard because everyone has their different humidity. People live in drier climates. I live in Texas. In Texas, though, she's in normal household humidity. I'm sure she would benefit from having higher humidity since she is a philodendron. She's a tropical plant, but you know, she's been doing fine without it. Oh, also, this right now is her juvenile form. These leaves will change and get more loby as she matures. And finally, her leaves come in this really pretty orangey color, and the green is just so much more vibrant. And I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. Like the camera right now, it's just not doing it justice. So maybe I'll put a picture up for you. But anyways, so I think that's all for quick care. But Philodendron Campo. Just one more time for that leaf. So cute. So the next plant that I'm going to talk to you about is actually not a specific plant, but more of a group of plants. And those plants are going to be air plants. First of all, look at these cuties. They're adorable, especially this one. She's so cute and little and pink. Now, a lot of people don't talk about air plants, but you know what? I'm going to give them their moment. First of all, these are these are my two newest air plants that I've recently got, and I really have been wanting some of these. Now, because the color ones are kind of new to me, I don't have much to say on the lighting, because as of right now, whether those pink colors come from more light, less light, I'm not too sure, but I did get them this way. And I will let you know that these are natural, but there is some air plants that you'll see in stores that are painted on, so like the color is painted on the tips, so just be careful. I will say the ones that are real, they definitely look more natural. It doesn't look so fake. It really just it blends with the plant rather than a distinct line that you can clearly see it's painted on. So just be mindful of that. But I have had air plants for quite a while. These are just my newest ones, but let me show you my other ones. Oop, doop, doop, doop. So where are my other air plants? Man, they're all over the place right now. Here's one. I just watered them, so that's why they're kind of just like everywhere. Doop, doop, doop. Oh, here we go. Okay, now these are the air plants that have actually had the longest, and they're getting so big, y'all. Like this one, you should have seen this one. This one was probably the size of this one when I first got it, and now it's just like really becoming just really cool. And I want to say one of my favorites is actually this one, just because of its structure. It's really thick right here, and it has its own, I don't know, it just looks very artistic, and that's what I really appreciate about especially this air plant. But air plants are some of the easiest, at least these, like I said, at least these are some of the easiest plants that I own. What's really cool is they don't need soil. You can just put them somewhere, you know, like I could just pop it right behind me and it can live there. It's getting light and I water it like once a week. Super easy. Also, because I'm using liquid dirt, I will sometimes for its fertilizer, because I mean, it's still a plant, it still needs to eat. So, what I'll do is mix some liquid dirt water with just regular water, like I normally dilute it, and I'll let the air plant soak in that. That's the thing, like the air plants, they're so freaking easy. You can kind of do whatever you want, as long as they're getting some water and light. You can tell that if you are underwatering your air plant, these tips will actually start browning and get crispy, just like normal plants usually do, especially like palms or something like that. But yeah, they'll get these crispy tips, and those crispy tips don't recover. But as you can see, it's still like, do you see the new growth coming from right here? It's so hard to show you because these are so tiny, but the new growth comes from in there. So they kind of go out like a spider plant, but it's really cool because, like I said, you just put them in water. Now, this is very important. I think this has really made a difference in caring for my air plants as well. Is once you take it out of the water, make sure to give it a good shake, because I think where a lot of people mess up air plants is either not watering them at all or overwatering them. And what will happen, and I have overwatered an air plant before, but what would happen is this part will get squishy and it will rot, and there's really no saving that plant. So it's kind of just gone from there. So you definitely want to make sure you give it a good shake, because you don't want any water remaining in these like little crevices. Also, what you want to do when you let it dry, just leave it like on a paper towel or even a or like a terracotta saucer. Just let it dry like this, leave it overnight, and then just put it wherever you want. Just bam, easy. And because these don't need soil, you can do a lot with them. I've seen where people like make these planters where the air plant ends up looking like an octopus, which is really cool. They use these shells to as kind of like holders, really not planters necessarily, but you can really do a lot. A couple of things that I've done with my air plants is, so this like little planter, I don't know, can you see in this corner? I'll zoom it in, but this planter, this hanging planter, excuse me, I actually made for just really tiny plants, but I actually use it to just hang some of my air plants, and they're just chilling there. So I think they're a really great way to add something different to your home. And like I said, not a lot of people talk about them, so I'm just putting out there, get yourself some air plants. They're really cool. They're actually really easy, and you just can't go wrong with them. But anyways, that's air plants. Okay, so these next two plants, I'm just gonna tell you right now, these are top favorite for this month. Like, I know these are my top 5, but in order, these next two are like, just yes. So this next plant is gonna be this Hoya, and I know I'm gonna butcher this, Hushkaliana, something like that. Anyways, variegata. But y'all, look at this plant. She is just, oh my god. This sun stress that she has going on is so subtle but yet intense. I moved her higher on a south facing window, and now she is getting absolutely full sun all day, and that made her really start sun stressing right here. And then these new leaves are seriously super pink. So I absolutely love the coloring on this plant. I'm obsessed. Like Yes. It's just a yes for me. Anyways, care. Y'all, she's in Lecca. So, as you can imagine, super simple. Super simple. Because I have her, actually, I bought her in Lecca, so I just left her in Lecca because this was one of my wish list plants, especially after I saw Fern's plant. Yeah, she's the one who introduced me to this plant, and I was just like, I need it. I need it, I need it, I need it. And actually, I found a really great deal pretty soon after, so thank you, universe, for listening to that because I really appreciate it. And I know this plant being a variegated plant, it would have been more of a slow grower. And I wouldn't say she's my fastest growing Hoya, but she's also not like the slowest growing Hoya I have. I mean, take that with a grain of salt. It really just depends on your environment, the humidity, but I think she's doing okay, especially right now. Again, I bought her in Lecca, so this is just where I left her. So how I just treat this is when there's no water here, I just fill up the water reservoir to about there, and she just lives. And she is getting full sun. It's super easy. Like, this plant is so easy. But again, because I have her in Lecca, I think I'm gonna leave her in Lecca because I really don't know how I would go about watering if she wasn't in Lecca, because I've never noticed her leaves kind of wrinkly, because when I have Hoyas, especially Hoyas like this in soil, that's usually when I wait to water. Is the soil needs to be fully dry and I need to see a little bit of wrinkling behind the leaf, and then that's when I'll give that plant a good watering. But because I can visually see this, it's just been super easy, and I love easy plants, and she just has been. She just really has been. I think the only thing to keep in mind when it comes to leca is white stuff will start building on top of the leca balls. So that white stuff is just built up nutrients, and what you want to do is just run this plant through water and then fill it up with fresh whatever you're using. I'm currently using water and liquid dirt, and that's what gives nutrients to this plant. So yeah, super easy. I really don't have much to say other than she's my favorite because of those sun stressed leaves that she has been giving me, and I am absolutely obsessed with these leaves. I just am. So anyways, Hoya Hushkaliliana variegata. The final plant that I have to show you for April favorites is gonna be, drumroll please, this Epipremnum panatum Aria. Now, I know she doesn't look much like an Aria, but I'll explain that in a little bit. Look at this leaf. Leaves. Are you serious? She's gorgeous. Like, I was so surprised because here's what I did. So this is the original leaf that I got her, and the other leaves that I had from her right here, I ended up actually giving her a chop and propagating those leaves. Those leaves were so much more variegated, and I didn't really have her in like a super bright location. So honestly, I think she reverted, but I'm not even mad about it because she surprised me. I knew she was growing, but then I really started paying attention to her this past month and noticed how beautiful her leaves were coming out. This gives me Instagram leaf vibes. That's just what it does. I'm shocked. I'm shocked because she's not on a pole or anything. This is just what she grew. And I'm super impressed, proud, and because I chopped her and she was taking forever. She was taking forever to grow. I seriously thought that this was a spent node. But one day I just kind of noticed, because I didn't really pay much attention to her, but I just kind of noticed that she had some growth points coming out, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, you know what? I'm just going to keep on nurturing you, and hopefully you'll give me something, variegated is really what I was hoping for. But this, I just think is way better. I'm just living for these leaves. And they're really big too. Like in comparison, like here's my head. This leaf is pretty freaking long. So I was just really shocked. Again, I just really, really, really love this plant. Now, as far as care goes, she is in a really chunky mix. So she's in my normal organic potting mix, perlite and orchid bark. But that's the mix she's in. And I water her when her soil is completely dry. Now, she's in a cover pot, but she's still in this nursery pot. Look at this. I actually have to repot her soon because she's growing roots from the bottom. At the time, this nursery pot was like perfect, but she's gonna need a repot soon. Now, I fertilize with liquid dirt, so every watering I give her liquid dirt, and she clearly seems to really love it. So there's that. And as far as lighting goes, I've had her in so many different lighting. I've had her right up against the window. I've had her under a grow light, and currently she sits right behind me, which is about half a foot away from that south facing window. I mean, the whole time I've had her in pretty bright light, and she still reverted. So it happens, but again, she still came out with these beautiful leaves, and I do think that lighting helped with that. So I wouldn't put her in direct sun because her leaves are still, they're pretty thin, so they could burn, but I would still put her in a bright lit location. And then can we also just like, give a shout out to the pot? When you find a good like plant pot combination, it just really does something for you. As a plant parent, like we live for this. So anyways, one more time for this reverted Epipremnum panatum Aria. Woo! Alright, that is all the plans for today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you liked today's video, make sure to give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it if you are gonna purchase any of these plants. Leave me a comment down below. I'm super curious to see which ones y'all liked, and if you want to just give me your top favorites, because also I want to know that, because what if you have something that I don't, and then I'm just gonna be like, ooh, what's that? Etsy purchase. It happens to the best of us, right? Anyways, I hope y'all have a wonderful planting day, and I will see y'all on my next one. Bye.